So yes, it looks like Diablo 4 is getting a brand new world tier. Check it out right here. Diablo 4 World Tier 5, gems and seasonal stuff. This comes from a very reputable data miner. He has a history of data mining Diablo Immortal, being very successful with that. And he has some information for us about World Tier 5, but also a new Capstone dungeon as well. But I've also got to talk about one of the best enchanting tips I have ever seen. So we've got to dive into that, and a very big warning about one of the strongholds that you might have a problem with. That is actually from one of my top comments. More on that later in the video. But we've got to first and foremost talk about this right here from Datamine ARPG. Let's scroll on down here and see what it says. It says World Tier 5 is in the works. While this is all considered speculation at this point, I did find evidence of World Tier 5 being in the works as shown in the image below. I think he means this one right here, of course. It says this is the actual artwork currently available for Tier 5, but it may not be final and could be used for testing purposes only. Unfortunately, the name of the difficulty and the details of the benefits are unknown currently, but there is some interesting details as we keep scrolling about gemstones, and guess what? That Capstone dungeon. So let's keep reading. It says this: in addition to the image, the data also provides a clear hint of existence of World Tier 5, as there's already a marker placeholder that will likely point towards the Capstone dungeon in Fractured Peaks to unlock it. Sweet. Now let's talk about gemstones rank 6, 7, and 8. There isn't data nor a naming convention that provides a clue about rank 6. However, according to the game files, rank 7 is currently named Magnificent, and the final rank is named Perfect. It's important to note that these names may still change before their official release. Yeah, so previously I did tell you guys that it's very wise to save all the gems that you are actually currently collecting right now, because apparently you're going to need them to upgrade to these higher ranks later on. Now, that's pure speculation, of course. I would just play the game and still have fun with it, but I would be mindful about throwing away and tossing away any gems that you might not need, because you might actually need them in the future. Now, it goes on to say this one right here: gemstone effect speculation. While the specific data for rank 6 through 8 of the gemstones is not yet available in the game files, we can make some conclusions by observing some number patterns of previous ranks. This gives us an idea of what the final ranks might look like and what effects of percentages or flat bonuses they may provide. So again, speculations here. So we have green, yellow, and red. High confidence for green, linear pattern, final values likely match, and then so on and so forth, as you can see. Now, I'm not going to go over all of this in extreme detail. You guys can actually pause the video if you want to kind of get a rough idea of what we can expect from these gems in the future, based on, of course, what we previously know about math. So he's broken it down, and excellent job, by the way, by this data miner. It is absolutely incredible what he's done now. It says that's all the gems for now. But we got to talk about season information. So if we keep scrolling down, it says this: Diablo 4 season information. Currently, there isn't much information available about the seasonal content beyond what we already know from official sources. The game files provide some additional insights, but it's important to take them with a grain of salt, since they may have been used for testing purposes only and are subject to rework or refinement in the final version. So let's see what they're talking about here. Season chapters and challenges. Seasons may also be divided into chapters as indicated by the evidence in the game files, showing seasonal chapter reward caches for completion. Now, the same concept applies to challenges, which can be generic, such as reaching a certain level and completing a specific number of objectives out of a total. However, there may also be other challenges exclusive to the seasons. We do know that there are going to be a form of chapters with rewards with seasons. I believe that has already been confirmed. But yeah, I'm excited for season 1. There's also some concerns about seasons I've talked about that we'll talk about later down the road. But let's keep going here, shall we? So it says this: seasonal stash tab. Based on the information I gathered, there will be a seasonal stash tab. It's important to note that items from non-seasonal characters cannot be transferred to a seasonal tab. However, you will be able to withdraw items from it. It is crucial to remember that you must retrieve your items before the active season ends, as any items left within the tab may become unavailable. So World Tier 5, there's no mention on when this would actually release. Is it going to be coming with the new season, Or is it going to be coming later down the road with an expansion? But I would imagine that they would, of course, bring us new world tiers because this has happened with previous Diablo games. So yeah, it only makes sense. All right, so let's keep going. Let's talk about an extreme pro tip about enchanting. To me, this is definitely like an S tier rank type tip. So check it out right here. It says, pro tip, you can use alts to enchant stats on your gear you can't roll. So check it out. This example, I played Necromancer, I like the Lucky Hit as a stat, and I apply barriers from Shielding Storm constantly. Sorcerer can roll Lucky Hit while barriered on Helm and Focus. Necromancers cannot. I made a level 25 Sorcerer alt, put my items in the shared stash, pulled them out on the Sorcerer alt, and I used her to enchant. She accessed the Sorcerer class roll pool instead, rolled Lucky Hit while barriered on my gear, and I traded it back to myself in the stash. Voila, full access to stats you cannot normally find via the shared stash system. Enjoy. An absolutely fantastic find there. But yeah, we got a follow-up question here. Is there any info on what class can roll what stats on different items anywhere? It says this website lists all possible stats for rare item, but the problem is it doesn't differentiate between which stats are for what classes. Some stats are obvious, like enchantments or imbuements, or individual class skills, but I'd be looking for Lucky Hit while barriered on my gear since launch, and started to wonder why I literally never see it on my stuff. Well, it's because it's intended as a sorcerer stat since they use barrier so much, and it's basically literally only a necro thing if you use Shielding Storm or Merity. Since it's not actually a core part of our class identity, it makes sense why we can't roll it, but I wanted it regardless. Ran tests using the Sorcerer alt, and it worked like a charm. Very happy with the results. I gotta say, it's been super impressive seeing how people are discovering stuff with this game. But then again, do you guys think that they should rework the enchanting system, that you shouldn't have to go to such extremes to get such a roll? Sound off in the comments below. Or do you think this should stay as is and should remain part of the game? How you have to use alts to re-roll certain stats. All right, so we also got to talk about world bosses. Check it out. It says, world bosses do not spawn frequently enough. We need a timer. I've seen people say they spawn every 6 hours, but it seems even less than that. I usually play for 4 to 5 hours a day and never see a world boss spawn. I'm always checking the map and nothing. I've done 2 world boss battles in total since I've reached level 50, and that was roughly 5 days ago. Now I'm almost level 65 and haven't seen a single world boss event. We definitely need a permanent timer that we can look at for a next spawn. And you know, it would be cool to be able to go into town and hear people talking about an upcoming world boss or have it part of the actual world. You know what I mean? Like there is some sort of ominous looming threat, some sort of way of telling that a world boss is going to be appearing just by looking at the world or going into town or going to some sort of billboard that you can go to that's posted that lets you know, hey, a world boss will be appearing in the next 30 minutes or so, like an advance warning. I think that would be super nice instead of just wholeheartedly relying on the map, because not all of us are popping open the map every 5 seconds to figure out, oh, where's the world boss as it spawned in. There needs to be some sort of feedback from the world itself that lets you know, hey, a world boss is going to be spawning in. I think that'd be cool. Also, we need to talk about another problem that players are having. Let me know if you're on the same page as this right here. It says way too much backtracking in dungeons. Like literally, Blizzard. I just did a dungeon with Collect Animus. Because I turned left instead of right first, I went to the end of the dungeon to kill an elite that drops anime close to the boss room. Then I had to run all the way back to the elite that I missed that was to the right, way back in the dungeon. But to top it all off, I missed one of those small anima orbs at the previous elite, so I had to then run all the way back where that one died at the end of the dungeon. Then I could finally enter the dungeon. 3 times back and forth is a lot of backtracking. Just remove these stupid objectives in the dungeons. The Animus Collector and kill all objectives are so tedious, not to mention the pick up a stone or whatever and return it. Dungeons should be exciting to explore with hidden rooms, events, bosses, etc. Objectives make it a job, a tiresome job that you have to do to complete any dungeon at all. It's tedious, and I wish you would make it exciting, surprising dungeons rather than tedious backtracking dungeons with no excitement and just annoying work. A good example is Diablo 2. There you went to a dungeon because it had good density, high area level, and or unique chests and bosses in it, not to do stupid, pointless, and repetitive objectives that no one cares for. It's 2023 and the ARPG genre has evolved a lot since Diablo 2. The idea of different randomized layouts in sequence is great, but at the moment it lacks variation as well as surprising content. I know this is fixable, and I don't doubt that Blizzard will probably do some changes. I just hope they drop the whole idea of objectives in dungeon. Maybe the first dungeon clear is fine to have an objective, but not the second, third, fourth time, etc. Do you guys agree that they should drop these annoying objectives? And I do love the idea of having hidden rooms that perhaps have really rare chests in them, some way to discover this. I think that's very, very cool. And I do love the idea, by the way, of dungeon events, of course. But yeah, there needs to be something that happens here with the objectives because that does feel really, really tedious. Now, we do have a reply here, an interesting one. Lots of upvotes on it. It says, there's an easy band-aid fix. Spawn more stuff that counts for objective, so there's a total of 130% of it in dungeon instead of 100%. So yeah, that's one way, one workaround that they can actually do as well. Now, there is another sentiment here that I am seeing that, hey, I don't understand everyone's complaint. It says, I've now gotten to World Tier 4 after casually grinding my way through World Tier 3, and I have to say, I truly don't get the complaints. I just don't think some of you guys like Diablo, lol. For days, I have seen people complaining about grinding out Renown or Helltide is the worst content ever, so I was prepared to hate these things as well as I approached in-game. But then, I got there, and Renown grinding is simply just playing the game, and the Helltide is no different. What do you guys want out of the game? I've had a blast going around exploring, doing all the dungeons, picking up loot along the way, and it's all worth a ton of experience as well. It's awesome having so many different things to do at the end game, and it all has the classic Diablo feel. I'm excited to push past Tier 20 in Nightmare Dungeons and start really putting my setup to the test, then start working on alts. I think people need to just slow down and enjoy themselves a bit more. Okay, rant over, have fun out there, guys. So, are you on this side of the fence, or are you on the side of the fence that, hey, everything needs to be fixed at some level in this game? Sound off. You know, I've been playing the game from a more like organic, natural approach of seeing how I can complete things without really thinking about it. And it has been kind of surprising. I've been able to get through the renown system by not really thinking about it. I just do a stronghold, and you just know subconsciously, oh yeah, that's going to earn me renown. So I do think that they need to fine-tune the renown system as well. But I think people might also be somewhat surprised at how easy and accidental renown is to kind of earn in this game just by doing the stuff in the game. But yeah, I hope they do add more variety with that system. That's my only complaint about the renown system, is to continue to push variety and ways to earn that renown. All right, another thing that I'm seeing a lot of people complain about is this one right here, that, yeah, while legendaries and some unique items are super rare, this is also rare as well, the Butcher. The Butcher isn't real. Check in thread. 57 Necro. Still no sign of the so-called Butcher. I'm tired of the propaganda and blurry photos and videos of this so-called mob. He doesn't exist. You all need to stop trying to convince others he is real. Edit, guys, the Butcher just killed me. He is real. He doesn't negotiate. So that was an update to the thread that I had not seen before. So yeah, finally he ran into the Butcher. So yeah, I'm playing my Barbarian, and guess what? I still have not run into the Butcher. It's the craziest thing, because even in the open beta, the server slam, I ran into the Butcher like 3 times, but this time it's like so strange, no Butcher. All right, so now it's time to get into your top comments, where there is that warning about one problem you might be experiencing with one of the strongholds. So yeah, what was my most recent video about? It says this right here. Whoa, I did not expect this news. Low reviews suddenly hit the game. New update. So yeah, the game is being review bombed over some complaints, of course. These complaints allude to the fact, for the most part, the game does not have an offline mode. I totally get it. We've been through a lot of problems at least in the beginning of the launch of this game, but now it seems to have settled down and the connection issues are still there. They are still there, and they're just not as prevalent. However, I still play in offline mode. Now, let's get into your top comments. Swain Nelson says this: Stronghold warning. Last night, I was trying to complete my final stronghold. It was the one with the snake cult. It has 3 snake statues. You have to close the eye to unlock the final phase. You must do the center statue last, or the stronghold bugs out. The door opens, but the script hangs and nothing spawns. To fix it, you have to leave the stronghold, log out, and start over, making sure to do the center eye last. So hopefully that does help you all right now with getting through that stronghold, because yeah, there's some issues that do kind of like plague this game currently that require workarounds until there's an official fix. But hopefully, you know, the team is aware of that issue and they do respond about it and get us a hot fix as well. All right, so let's keep going and see what Zed's Dead has to say here as well. He goes on to say the following right here. I can attest to the fact that the self-highlight is very critical. As many know, the miasma version of the corpse explosion can literally turn your screen black. Knowing where you are in this mess is super helpful. Now, if they would only fix it so I can see mobs and floor effects. So yeah, some sort of fix is coming to these effects where they aren't so overwhelming, especially in those bigger events that do happen. You can see it kind of on the screen. When those start stacking and being spawned on top of each other, it's like you can't see anything. You can't see your character model. You can't even see what's happening at all. So that definitely needs to be addressed, and it will be. Jack the Dipper, or Dripper, says this: that idea of having a nightmare sigil that turns a dungeon into a cow level is god tier development idea. Yeah, whoever came up with that idea needs to be hired right now on the Diablo 4 development team. Just make it happen, Blizzard. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. There it is for the latest happenings with Diablo 4. I have you guys covered. There might be a second video going out today, so look out for that. But thank you all, and I will see you all next time. Take care.